Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the Sharesify podcast. I'm joined, as always, by my sparring partners, Steve and James. How are you, chaps?
All dandy.
Yeah, very good, Ian. Cheers.
And we're coming to you with markets at an all-time high in the US, S&P 500 over 7,500, Nasdaq over 30,000 points. That's right, and it's all about the chips, Steve. Right? Chips with everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm not talking about French fries either. Yeah, I mean we've been talking about this for it seems like ages now, but I mean it's all about this AI infrastructure and chips are a huge part of it. But let's not forget it's not only chips. I mean there's an awful lot that goes into building out data centers and the whole infrastructure network that powers AI. So there are lots of other companies, for example. Databricks springs to mind, and I'll explain why in a minute. But I mean, they're into the knitting of data center expansion. So chips are required in thousands for sure, but it's not only just about chips. And what we've seen interestingly is some really robust results from Scottish Mortgage. So it's not a tech fund. Don't forget, it's not a tech fund. It's a growth fund, but it's obviously very exposed to the tech dynamic. But a fantastic performance again. Share price up 27% or so over the year to 31st of March. The benchmark was 18%, I think it was. So again, a really outstanding performance. And a key thing to note is about the narrowing of the discount. 3 years ago, we were looking at SMT being on a discount of about 20% to NAV, and that has absolutely shrunk down. I think at the end, the year end, it was about 9%. But since the year end, since the end of March, it's absolutely been wiped out completely. It's now trading, the shares are trading now at 5% premium to NAV. So I mean, it's a complete reversal over the last 3 years for them, and SpaceX, of course, has driven a lot of that appetite.
Yeah, I mean, for any investment trust to be trading at a premium it was a real rarity, but we are seeing more and more, aren't we, trading at a premium? I mean, I was thinking chips, only because last night we had a 19% jump in Micron. It's now joined the $1 trillion club. Another stock you talked about,
Yeah.
South Korean SK Hynix, also joined the $1 trillion club. I mean, it's just the enthusiasm for this theme just seems shows no sign
And
whatsoever of
what was
fading,
interesting,
does
I
it?
found, I mean, because neither company had an announcement, but it was really driven, it seems, by a note from UBS that had really flagged up the massive potential for the memory chip manufacturers, of which they are both. They are competitors in the
Mm,
same space, SK Hynix and Micron. And ultimately, it was that note that seems to have really whetted the appetite for investors. I think on Micron's case, they doubled their share price target. So I mean, there's obviously lots of perceived value from some quarters, but always, do your own research, of course. Just because an analyst says this stock is going to double in price doesn't necessarily make it so.
no, absolutely. I mean, talking of which, I saw another piece in the Financial Times talking about a bit of a growing sense of caution around the size of these IPOs. You mentioned SpaceX. Of course, we've also got OpenAI rumored to be coming this year, Anthropic, Stripe, the payments company. I mean, these are all hundreds of billions of dollars in market cap. So the placings will be tens of billions of dollars. And there's a little bit of concern as to whether that might take the steam out of the market rally because investors will start piling into those things instead. Hard to know, isn't it? It's
I
very
mean,
hard
there
to
was an
know.
interesting take I was reading the other day, actually, and it's exactly those points you're making. And really was that would be a really interesting gauge to see
Mm,
what valuation investors are willing to put on the AI trade. Will SpaceX meet its rather lofty 1.75 trillion market cap valuation? We'll see. Will Anthropic get the kind of valuation it expects, or OpenAI? We will see. I mean, you don't know about prices, like we said in the house. You don't know really what your house is worth until someone says, here's the cash. So it's just speculation until that point where people have to actually stump up the cash.
yeah. And moving on from Stripe to Strike, James, decent results from Hollywood Bowl today.
Yeah. Quite a good set of numbers from consumer-facing stocks this week. So record revenues from Hollywood Bowl, benefiting from that kind of value for money, family fun offering.
Mm,
And of course, as we noted, it's air conditioned inside, so it's a great way for consumers to beat the heat.
that's a
Um,
bonus.
Yeah, absolutely. Get some food and drink while you shelter from the sun.
Yeah, I
Just
was just wander into the local supermarket and go near the freezer counter and just hang out there for like 5 minutes.
yeah, that's another way to go, Steve. Yeah, definitely. And also that sort of followed on from Kingfisher, which called out a resilient first quarter. Um, Grufix, more sort of tradesperson focused, did well as always. B&Q sales were down due to that late starts to spring, but we'll keep an eye on that in terms of how big tickets holding up. And then today we've had well received results from Pets at Home. So although
Mm.
the numbers themselves were a bit of a dog's breakfast, the retail business turnaround is very much underway under James Bailey, who's the ex Waitrose boss.
That's right. Of course, they hired him.
Yeah.
Things have been. I'll tell you what's grabbed me this week is well, first of all, the bid for Bodycote. So M&A, that juggernaut's still going. £1.5 billion bid for Bodycote. That's, I think, the third or fourth attempt these private equity guys have had to take it. Management, I think, is saying, yeah, this is a decent level. And interestingly, Bodycote does coatings for metals and for the automotive industry, for the aerospace industry. Another much smaller version of that is called hard-eyed, and that stock, I mean, it's on an absolute tear. At the end of last year, it was trading kind of between 6 and 8p. It had a fantastic first quarter. It was trading around 40p last week. It's come out and said it's received some relatively big orders in the US today, and it's up another 14%. It's 58p. That's a kind of multi-bagger in the space of 6 months, which is extraordinary for a company that most people won't have heard of.
It was a real kind of retail investor, small cap favourite for a spell, but this is going back quite a number of years,
Mm.
and so for it to come back into the sun is quite interesting.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? And talking of materials firms and specialty materials, decent update from Zotefoams today as well. Now they make the foams that go into aircraft seats and car seats. It's all about weight saving. It's all speciality foams that they do, and they come out with a really strong trading update. They also, James, am I right? They make the foam for trainers.
Yeah, I think they go into
Yeah,
sneakers
I
of
think
some
so.
sort.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
That's right. Well, they came out with cracking numbers for the first 4 months, 26% increase in sales, confirmed full year guidance. And I've been watching these guys for a bit. Victrex, Croda, Zotefoams, all these specialty chemicals companies. To me, Zotefoams looks the most interesting of the three. So I'm impressed by today's move. I'm going to do a bit more digging on that one. But what else have we got coming up this week then?
Well, tonight you've
Yeah.
got some really big, interesting tech companies coming in our way. Again, in the infrastructure space, you've got Marvel, that's another chip design company. We've also interestingly got HP. And then tomorrow night after hours, we've got Dell, which is one I flagged up on Friday in our editorial piece and
Mm.
also on the podcast. So the fact that we've got HP this evening and then Dell tomorrow, there might be some indicators to pull through. But Dell is seen as the much higher quality version of the kind of PC and server manufacturing pair.
Amazing, isn't it, that these names that you thought years had disappeared. I mean, I wouldn't say disappeared, but this is a real blast from the past. These are names from 20, 25 years ago. HP, Dell,
Yeah.
making the
Well,
headlines.
they were really well known for making those desktop printers in the 90s,
Yeah,
and they obviously emerged in something much more fundamental. And I think those kind of peripherals manufacturers have all kind of gone the same way. They've all got involved in the whole server system market. That's really ballooned. Whereas PC sales, laptop sales, printers, all that kind of peripheral stuff has found it pretty tough to grow.
yeah, yeah. James, US retailers as well this week, still to
Yeah,
come.
another good opportunity to take the temperature of the consumer. So we've got Costco Q3 results tomorrow, and that one's on over 50 times earnings. So we'll have to sort of pull something out the bag to
Blimey.
Oh, yeah.
maintain that rating. Yeah, and then we've got Best Buy Q1s tomorrow. A bit like the US version of Curry's, and also Dollar Tree. Now the market's looking for a slowdown in growth, but whether they could beat perhaps if the consumer is trading down. We'll wait and see.
Yeah,
Interesting.
and there's it feels like we should be coming down from the earnings season, but it just kind of has this enormously long tail, doesn't it? And before you know it, we'll be back into US banks and, and we'll
Oh,
go through the
before you
whole
know it,
process
it'll
all
be
over
Q2, it'll be
again.
Q2 earnings before you know it, Steve.
Interesting. Well, that's probably a time to wrap things up today. So well played, chaps, and thank you, guys, for tuning in and listening to our podcast. We do these regularly on Wednesdays and Fridays, and of course, tune in for our special podcasts, of which we had one yesterday with Georgina Britton of the JP Morgan UK Small Cap Growth and Income Fund. A bit of a mouthful, but it was really interesting podcast actually. Really interesting that she pointed out that she sees a deluge of opportunities in the UK smaller and mid-cap space. So if you want to understand why she thinks that, tune into that podcast. Until next time then, we'll catch you later.
Yeah.